Welcome back to Fantasy Fights. This time we're going to take a look at the top 10 heavyweights of the 1970s, called by many the greatest decade in heavyweight history, and I've got to agree. This was a tough decision narrowing it down to 10 fighters. Let me know what you think. Who'd I leave off the list? Please send me your comments, and hopefully you'll subscribe and hit that like button. And here we go, the top 10. At number 10, Jerry Cilla of South Africa, 6'3.5", 222, ranked number 3 by Ring Magazine in 1979. He lost to John Tate for the WBA championship in a 15-round decision. The reason he's ranked at number 10 and not John Tate is the criteria I use is you have to be ranked 3 years in the decade in order to be ranked in the top 10. John Tate was not, Jerry Cilla was. Here's Cilla in his WBA elimination semifinal fight against Leon Spinks, the former heavyweight champion who had defeated Muhammad Ali. And as you can see, this was a shocker. It proved that Spinks was really not a very good heavyweight, and it also showed that Ali was well on his way into retirement when he lost to Leon Spinks. As you can see, Cilla is just having his way as Spinks is knocked out in the first round. Jerry Cilla, very fine heavyweight. He was a real strong heavyweight into the 1980s as well and won a belt in the 1980s. At number 9, Ernie Shavers, one of the favorites of everybody, the knockout artist from Warren, Ohio, 75-14-1, 6 foot 211, 79-inch reach. He was ranked number 5 in 1979 by the Ring Magazine. And here's some of his more prominent fights. His first round knockout over Jimmy Ellis, third round knockout over Jimmy Young, fought a draw with Jimmy Young later, and he lost to Jerry Corey and Ron Lyall. Here he is in action. It's a typical Ernie Shavers fight. This is against Jimmy Ellis, the former WBA heavyweight champion, ranked number 6 in my 1960s rankings. Ellis was coming off his loss to Joe Frasier in 1970, and this was 1973, and you can see he's wailing on Ernie Shavers. He's about to knock him out here in the first round. Great action. These fights in the 1970s were such captivating fights. Watch the power of Ernie Shavers. One punch, it's over. Ellis has no chance. And this is why Ernie Shavers comes in at number 9 in the decade. Very powerful fighter, could withstand a lot of punishment. At number 8, Ron Lyall, a heavyweight who came into boxing rather late in life, well into his 30s, learned to fight in prison, got a late start, ranked number 3 by the Ring Magazine in 1974, and had some really, really strong fights. Defeated Oscar Bonavena in 1974, defeated Ernie Shavers in a 6-round knockout in 1976. And of course he had some critical losses as well. Here he is against George Foreman. His most famous fight is he put George Foreman down twice in this fight. Ended up losing the fight, but nonetheless showed his incredible power, going toe-to-toe with one of the greatest heavyweights in boxing history. Foreman came back in the fight. This was in Las Vegas. It was Fight of the Year, 1976, and you can see just toe-to-toe. Ron Lyall could take a punch, and here he goes down. Fought for the heavyweight championship against Muhammad Ali and lost in an 11th round knockout. And here he is just about out on his feet. But this is his ability to come back, and it's what made him such a great fighter. His recovery power was incredible. The action is incredible. That's why this decade was so awesome. And he comes back in the same round, and now he's taking the offensive against Foreman and puts him down for a second time. Great fight. Great fighter. At number 7, Jerry Corey. Corey was also ranked in the 1960s at number 9 in a previous YouTube video. Had an impressive record. He was a number 2 ranked contender in 1971. Had 2 losses against Muhammad Ali and 2 losses against Joe Frazier, and he also was knocked out by Ken Norton. Had victories over Ron Lyall and Ernie Shavers. He knocked out Ernie Shavers in the first round. Corey was rather a small heavyweight. Would have been a tremendous cruiserweight had they had the division at the time. And here he is against Ernie Shavers in Madison Square Garden. This is one of his best wins in his career. And when Corey got you hurt, he was going to take you out. He never stopped. He was relentless. Shavers has no chance. I think earlier we saw Shavers against Jimmy Ellis, and he came back and knocked him out in the first round. Not so against Corey. Corey had a granite chin, had a better chin than Ernie Shavers. And as he didn't have the firepower, you can see all the punches do their damage. Very well-conditioned fighter for most of his career as well. The thing that hurt Jerry Corey was cuts. Most of the fights he lost on cuts. Very susceptible to them. Jerry Corey comes in at number 7. Jimmy Young comes in at number 6 from Philadelphia, 6'2", 210. Had a lot of losses early in his career, but he had some key wins. He beat Lyall. He also had his big win over George Foreman, and he had a split decision loss against Ken Norton. Here he is in action against George Foreman, one of only 2 men to beat George Foreman the first time he was fighting before his first retirement. The other man was Muhammad Ali. Jimmy Young was a crafty boxer, very smooth, lost a lot of fights early in his career and late in his career because he fought well past his prime. This was 1977. This is going to force George Foreman into retirement. Did have trouble with Jimmy Young and Jerry Corey. I thought Corey probably would have stood a good chance against Jimmy Young, but I'm going to give him the advantage in a close decision. I think he would have beat Jerry Corey. Would have been a tough fight, both of them in their prime. Number 6, Jimmy Young. Coming in at number 5, Ken Norton, San Diego, California, the WBC champ in 1978. He defeated Jimmy Young in 77 to gain the recognition, and he lost his title in a split decision to Larry Holmes, a very close fight. He lost to George Foreman in a second round knockout, and he also fought Muhammad Ali 3 times with 1 victory and 2 defeats. All 3 fights could have went either way. Here he is in action against Dwayne Bobbick in the 1970s. Norton was one of the top contenders. Bobbick was one of the top young fighters coming up. I believe he'd won 40 fights in a row, and you can see what Norton's doing to him. You know, most of the time you see Norton against Ali, you don't realize the power that the man had, but he was an incredible fighter. As I said, he knocked out Jerry Corey in the 5th round. A lot of power, very fast, athletic, long arms. Little question, he's in the top 5. Outstanding boxer. Coming in at number 4, Larry Holmes, the Easton Assassin, WBC champion in 1978 with his victory over Ken Norton. He also defeated Ernie Shavers in a 12-round decision. In 1979, he defeated eventual WBA title holder Mike Weaver in a 12-round technical knockout. Holmes was 69, 6-0, and although he fought mainly in the 1980s and 1990s, he's ranked in the top 10 here in the 1970s. And here's his classic fight with Ken Norton, in which he won a split decision over 15 rounds. Larry Holmes comes in at number 4. At number 3 is Joe Frazier, heavyweight champion from 1970 to 1973, 32-4-1. only lost to two fighters in his entire career. He lost twice to Muhammad Ali and twice to George Foreman. Had key wins over Jerry Corey, in which he defeated him 2 times, Joe Bugner in a 12-round decision. Here he is in his 1970 heavyweight matchup against Jimmy Ellis. Frasier had the New York version of the title, and Jimmy Ellis had the WBA championship. Ring Magazine recognized the winner of this fight as the new heavyweight champion upon Ali's retirement. Frasier's later going to solidify the title the next year in defeating Muhammad Ali over 15 rounds. This was Frasier's style, relentless in his primes, one of the best conditioned fighters in heavyweight history. And he's going to put Jimmy Ellis down and win the title in the 5th round. Number 3, Joe Frazier, one of the all-time greats. At number 2, George Foreman, 76-5-0. 6'3", 225, won the heavyweight championship, destroying Joe Frazier in 1973. Lost the title to Muhammad Ali in 1974. Before his first retirement, he only lost 2 fights. That was to Muhammad Ali and to Jimmy Young. Here he is in action against Joe Frazier in Kingston, Jamaica in 1973, in which he won the title. Frazier was undefeated, and George Foreman pretty much destroyed him. A lot of people see Foreman in his later years. This was it when he was in his prime. He was very destructive. Also knocked out Ken Norton in the 2nd round. Coming in at number 2, George Foreman. Coming in at number 1 is Muhammad Ali. Dominated the decade. 3-time heavyweight champion who was actually in his prime in the 1960s, but he dominated the 1970s. He defeated Jerry Corey twice, defeated Joe Frazier 2 out of 3 times, defeated Ken Norton 2 out of 3 times, defeated George Foreman, Ron Lyall, Ernie Shavers. Here he is in his epic battle against Joe Frazier in 1971. He did lose this decision over 15 rounds, but came back and won 2 controversial fights. Next time.